Hey guys, Jake here at Arrowhead Rifles. I just wanted to do a video today kind of going over how to prepare for an upcoming rifle or muzzleloader hunt that you have, specifically kind of from a guide's perspective and some of the things that I've seen in the field as long as some of my buddies when guys show up to a hunt, how they could be a little bit more prepared for their hunt. So let's jump into it. First thing I want to touch on, shooting off of a tripod. I feel like at least 50% of the time. I always try to get prone if I can get prone. Some guys just can't shoot prone because of back neck stuff, as well as like vegetation can prohibit you from getting prone. So we end up shooting off a tripod a lot. Nowadays, a lot of guns have built-in arc rails or an arc rail on them. If you don't have that feature, then I would highly suggest getting something like this here. This is made by a company called Triclops. There's a bunch of them out there that are great. I really like the Triclops one. I've had it forever and it's done really well. Just a simple gun clamp that attaches to any tripod head you have. But that way you can shoot off of a tripod. I don't necessarily use it for like laying down and shooting, but sitting with like a backpack as a rear support or standing, and if you can get another tripod even as a rear support while standing, that's best. But definitely practice shooting off of a tripod standing and sitting. I think it'll go a long way in case you have to do that on your hunt. Um, I would say the number one thing I see that kind of drives me wild is just target acquisition through the scope. I feel like a lot of guys actually have a really hard time with that. Maybe they're like a bow hunter, they just don't get out as much, but it seems to be a very common thing that guys have a hard time finding stuff in the scope and kind of staying on it. So I would suggest just doing a practice drill. You don't even need to shoot your gun. Go to a range or somewhere that you can safely point a rifle and pick out a target at distances. Like do some close, do some far, but pick out a target and then find it in your scope, whether it's off a tripod, laying down, what have you. Just practice a bunch of different scenarios, pick something out, find it in the scope, and then do it over and over until you feel really comfortable doing that. With that, I would definitely leave your magnification lower until you've acquired the object in the scope and then turn it up once you've found it. And then vice versa. I feel like a lot of guys don't stay in the scope after the shot. It's a lot of, this number, like where they shoot and look up or look back at the guide or their buddy or whoever, and they get out of the scope right away. Do your best when you shoot to stay in the scope, even if you're not on the animal right away. Stay in the scope, crank your power back down, do your best to get back on the spot, even if the animal is not there, so you're in the general area, and then find the animal again. With that, I would touch on communication with your partner or guide when shooting. If you're with somebody and you're not solo. For me, like a lot of guys haven't hunted out west in the desert, so there's a lot of new plants, ocotillos, saguaros, cactuses like that they aren't familiar with. And when it comes time to shoot at an animal, I may be using those as references to them to help them find the animal, and they don't know what it is. So a lot of times, the first day or the day before a hunt, if they're out with me, I'll point out some of the cactuses, trees, what have you, and let them know like, hey, this is what it's called. And then just, they do their best to remember it. That way when it comes time, if the deer is standing by a giant ocotillo, now they know what an ocotillo is, whereas before it wouldn't help them at all. So that's something else, just kind of get on the same page as your guide. With that, if you're shooting, if you know your ballistics for your gun, you have like a rangefinder that does ballistics, that kind of a thing, definitely share that with your guide, or maybe give your guide your rangefinder or your buddy your rangefinder if they're going to be the ones ranging it. That way, you aren't getting mixed up. Like maybe they have a gun profile on their rangefinder, or they're just giving you yardage, and then you're trying to convert it to MOA or mils or whatever. It just works out if you're on the same page before the hunt, whether that means you give them your ballistic profile to put in their rangefinder or app, or it's as simple as just telling them you're shooting MOA or mils. Whatever it is, just get on the same page as the person that's there with you helping out. Let's touch on factory ammo. I've seen a lot of things when it comes to factory ammo, or just ammo in general, when guys show up to hunt, from them not even sighting in their gun and having a bunch of different ammos, to them sighting in their gun but bringing 2 or 3 different ammos and they don't remember which one it is, to guys literally taking 2 different kinds of ammo out with them in the field in their ammo carrier. So I've seen a lot of things. First things first, should be relatively obvious, but take whatever ammo you've sighted the gun in with. So here we have the Hornady Precision Hunter in 7 PRC 175 grain ELDX ammo. Now, with that being said, this ammo is not the same lot to lot. So say you bought some a year ago that you sighted your gun in with, you're down to like 6 rounds, you go buy a couple more boxes for this hunt. Well, now more than likely you're going to have a different lot number. So the lot number is typically just on the back of the label, like on Hornady, it's right here. But we've seen variances up to like 125, 150 feet per second just from lot to lot in the same ammo because companies run out of a powder, start using a different powder. That kind of stuff can affect your velocities, which is going to affect where you're hitting, obviously. So do your best to have the same lot of factory ammo or the same box that you sighted your gun in with on the hunt, because that can obviously vary and affect where you're hitting. With that, let's talk about a rear support. This is going to be kind of the last thing I go over. Being comfortable using a rear bag or some sort of rear support is super critical if you're trying to take longer shots. Whether it's a rear bag prone or, like I said, maybe a backpack or a tripod on the rear rest of the gun, I would just go out and practice a bunch of different, instances, scenarios where you can get comfortable having some sort of rear support underneath the gun. These bags are great. This is made by a company called Phoenix Shooting Bags. This is actually a little bit bigger than the bag I would personally take in the field with me. You could take this one. I mean, these are super lightweight. They have, a strap on them, so you can just strap them to the outside of your pack or what have you. The one I like taking is about half of the size of this one. It's just super small, but allows me to use a rear support. And then if I'm shooting like at a steep downward angle or off of a tripod sitting or something, I'm going to grab my backpack, maybe like a jacket or a bino harness or something, and put it underneath this, and then put this bag on top and get solid. Whatever I need to do to get solid, but I always at least have one of these styles of shooting bag with me in the field. So yeah, I think that kind of covers it. If you have any questions or anything, leave them in the comments below or shoot us an email, give us a call. We can help you out if you need anything kind of last minute before your hunt. But other than that, yeah, thanks for watching and good luck this season.